Shabbat Shalom. Today's Parsha Terumah describes the commandment to the Israelites to build a Mishkan, a tabernacle, to house the tablets that Moses received at Sinai. There are precise instructions on the measurements to be used, the materials to be used, and the decorations to be created. But in the 2 lines before the detailed instructions even begin, the Torah tells us something critical about what the Israelites will need to do before the construction even begins. The Torah says that God tells Moses, "Speak to the children of Israel and tell them to bring me gifts, Terumah." He says, "You shall accept gifts for me from every person whose heart so moves him. Me'et kol ish asher yidvenu libo." It is with these gifts that the Israelites will build the Mishkan. But what does the word Terumah and the phrase "from every person whose heart so moves him" really mean? What are the children of Israel being asked to do? As used here, the word Terumah does not mean a mere gift. Rashi said, it may be understood as a voluntary donation from the heart. It is something that is set aside by its owner and dedicated to sacred use. The word Terumah comes from the root resh vav mem, meaning to elevate, to exalt. It elevates each of us when we give, and giving is an act of elevated or righteous generosity. And although in other portions of the Torah, obligations are often limited to a particular group of people, this task of donating materials and building the Mishkan is expected of every Israelite, men and women alike. What can we learn from this passage? The passage teaches us that the act of righteous giving is expected from each one of us, that we must do it with intention, and that doing this is essential to create sacred space, that is, to create a world in which we can live. How do we do this? To live a life of righteous giving means that we insist that our deeds impact the world in which we live. Rabbi Elliot Cosgrove of Park Avenue Synagogue has described this concept in relation to tzedakah, required giving. But I think that these words apply even more aptly to Terumah, voluntary giving. He says, "The heroes of our people, past, present, and future, have been those who have leveraged whatever means are at their disposal to bend the arc of the universe towards justice. Giving back, or tzedakah, is not only the purest expression of gratitude for the blessings of one's life, it also demonstrates the belief that from the moment we wake up until the moment we sleep, we have only a finite amount of time to actualize our ideals. We do it because it is the right thing to do, because it sets an example for our families, because it inspires the friends around us to do the same. Most of all, we do it because we are here for but a flash, and no one knows for how long. In doing this, we live our lives as if they matter. All of us have limited time and means to actualize our ideals and affect the world. We choose how we use that time and means by how we define ourselves. I define myself at my core as a Jew. I grew up with Friday night Shabbat meals, Jewish summer camp, and the joy of sitting next to my father in synagogue. I grew up with Israel, with understanding that I was privileged to live in the United States, but that Israel was my home. My 3 sisters made Aliyah, and my parents bought a home there in 1970, splitting their time evenly between New York and Ramat Aviv. I feel connected to the Jewish people and to Israel, dating back to the time of Sinai and the Mishkan. And as a Jew who feels connected to more than 5,000 years of Jewish history, I can think of no better way to use my voluntary donations, my Terumah, than to support Israel and to continue the work the Israelites started so long ago. Over the past decade, I've been incredibly privileged to spend a good deal of my time with UJA Federation of New York, supporting UJA's work in Israel. My role at UJA is as chair of one of the 3 Israel committees. My committee focuses on funding organizations that nurture, support, and expand diverse, pluralistic expressions of Judaism through both engagement and advocacy. It is through this intentional work and giving that I fulfill the obligation of Terumah. Much has changed since the Israelites gathered in Sinai, but the call of Terumah remains the same. We are still being called upon to make voluntary offerings from our hearts to create sacred space. In this way, we ensure that our lives matter and that we are each contributing to making the world a better place for all of us to live. Shabbat Shalom.